I think we're good. Yeah, we're
So we had 3 people so far.
that's crazy.
We're still waiting.
Rishi, here, you guys should probably start.
You should start going first, when they start.
Yeah, I know, just one.
These people cannot be late.
Do you have email address? Don't see the app registration. Oh, maybe that's the one that you signed up.
You guys are like, oh, the Shmi just joined. Oh, that's crazy. That's users. You should be able to hear.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Um,
Yeah. Meeting will begin soon. We're still waiting for a couple more people. That's all.
Yeah.
If you can, could you change your name to
Yeah, your real name.
Your real name, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, if they're joining by phone, how are they gonna see the chat or in the PowerPoint?
I don't think I can do that. I just
wait,
I don't know how to do that on the phone.
You're calling from a phone, right? Can you see the PowerPoint presentation? We're currently sharing our screen. Can you see that?
No, but my brother is doing it on a computer right next to me, so I can see it from his side.
Okay,
All right. Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, that's good. Because he doesn't have a computer, or maybe he doesn't have enough.
Can you move the chat to the side or?
They don't.
Oh,
No, they don't see the
don't
chat.
see chat.
But we do.
No. Oh, wait, never mind. We ask 17596 to change their name. No, go to the title, yeah. Ask 17596 to change their name.
You ask.
Wait, what team are they? 1 second. First, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost.
Oh my God.
You're just meet up real quick. Wrong.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can change my name. I may have to log out and come
All
back.
right, no
Okay, that's
problem.
fine.
Yeah, no
Alright.
problem.
Okay, hi everybody on Zoom and in person. Sorry for the delay. We're ready now, but welcome everybody to the first FTC coding camp. My name is Lucas and we are FRC team 9023 Future Martians. Last season, we competed in our first robotics competition as a rookie team and learned some incredible things about engineering, tech skills, programming, and so much more. We had the amazing opportunity to make it all the way to the World Championships in Houston, Texas, and won the Rookie All-Star Award in our division. Most of the students on this team have experience with other FIRST programs such as FLL and FTC, and have worked our way up to the Future Martians FRC team. So if you guys have any questions, you can put it in chat and I'll hand it over to Rishi. Thank you everybody for waiting.
So I'll be talking about the main rev hardware on the robot, which is the control hub, the expansion hub, the driver hub, and I'll also be talking about rev hardware client. So a quick overview of the control hub. The control hub is the robot's brain, controlling all the motors, sensors, and servos connected to it. The control hub runs the Android x86 operating system, a common OS used in many phones and other devices. And the control hub has 4 DC motor ports, 6 servo ports, 8 digital I/O ports, and an internal IMU, and 4 analog ports. Alongside the control hub, you also have the expansion hub, which is a hardware controller add-on to the control hub and contains the same ports as the control hub, allowing for more motors, servos, and other devices to be connected. Before the introduction of the control hub, 2 expansion hubs were used alongside a phone with Android OS, which provided the wireless access. With the supply chain issues for control hubs resolved, we will not be working with the old hardware system. The driver hub. The driver hub is an Android OS-based mobile device designed to interact wirelessly with the control hub. It runs a specialized app called Driver Station for interfacing and configuring the control hub. This app provides several functionalities, including initializing and starting the robot, changing configurations, viewing a camera if one is connected, and viewing logs and errors. The driver hub contains 3 USB-A ports and up to 2 controllers can be plugged in. Prior to the introduction of the driver hub, an Android OS-based cell phone was used to provide the wireless interaction with the other Android OS-based cell phone and other Android OS-based components on the robot. We will not be working with this old hardware system, as said before. Rev Hardware Client. Rev Hardware Client is an application that allows you to view and update the control hub and expansion hub. You can plug in your Rev device into your computer, then choose from the multiple options, including updating the Rev device's firmware, backing up your device's files, and resetting the device. The control hub operating system is the Android OS. The robot controller app will be updated by the FTC SDK version being used in Android Studio. The control hub firmware fixes issues with the electronics. And there's a link to the Rev Hardware client if you want to download it. Okay. So just hold on a second and we'll show you a demo of the Rev Hardware client. Do you guys have any questions?
Go back to the slides.
It was about Android Studio.
Oh.
Carter, we'll talk about Android Studio and issues if you have it, if for loading it later in the slide, later in the presentation.
Yeah, that's really good.
So does anybody want me to go back to previous slides so you can look at the information?
This hardware client.
Yeah, hardware client is only on Windows. Yeah. So if for anybody who didn't hear the question, he was asking if hardware client is only available on Windows. Yes, it is. So if you have a Mac or a Linux-based machine, then you cannot use Rev Hardware client.
You're gonna just join this. Or should.
It's fine. It's fine.
So if you're intending to use this one, especially you need the newspaper. Oh, we have a couple of years.
Start sharing your screen. I'll explain the Rev Hardware client.
Yeah, I'm sharing. There's one lined up over there, I believe.
So we're getting the Rev Hardware client ready. Sorry for the wait. So this is Rev Hardware client, and as you can see, we have the control hub plugged in right now via USB. So when you click on the device, you can see a plethora of information So you can see the version it's currently on, and if you need to update your device, you can see what version you need to update it to, and you can download and install that update onto the device. You can also, so the updates include updates to the robot controller app on the device and also the updates to the firmware. And then you can also manage your device as seen in the other tabs, and then you can also back up and restore it in case you want to transfer data onto another one.
And to add to that, as a coding team person, you will have to keep track of if there are any updates, because it is very important that your driver hub, your control hub, they all have matching versions of software. And the way you can do that is by using this Rev hardware client. So not only can you connect the control hub to this, you can also connect the driver hub to this software, and it will show you what the current version is and what version you have on your device. And you want to make sure that you update it. And one thing to note here for the control hub is this robot controller app. As you're going to find out in a few slides, what you're building with your Android Studio is literally this application, the robot controller app. So once you have downloaded your custom version of that app, you'll start seeing this warning. And at times you may update it to the out-of-the-box version, in the sense the one the Rev provides. And whenever you do that and you download your own code again, it'll get overwritten and you'll see the warning again. But bottom line, just be aware that this is how you make sure you have the latest version of the software and you have matching versions of software for the driver hub and the control hub. You can continue.
Got mine?
Do you guys have any questions before we move on to the next section? Okay, if there's no more questions, I will move on to the next section.
Before we do that, I have a set of quick questions. So I know a lot of you are on a Zoom call. Could you please raise your hand raise your hand in the sense with the reactions, or send a message if you have access to the electronics that are needed for FTC, and if you intend to use them during this coding camp. So if you do not have access to the electronics, then what we'll be doing is, as we get to the parts where we need to use the electronics, we will be showing a video of all the connections, as well as sharing the screen of the code, which is going to be run on the control hub and the moving of motors and things like that. But okay, so we see that there's a team indicating they will have them tomorrow. That's perfect. And we can definitely make sure that the Rev hardware client is connecting to it, get everything updated. So that is something we will do tomorrow for that team. Now, one more question. How many of you have not had a chance to download Android Studio and install it on your machines? So we're waiting to see messages if you have not installed Android Studio. Okay, that's good. I don't see any messages where they say they haven't. That's good. Okay, with that, you guys can continue.
So I will be handing it off to. Wait, 1 second. Okay, I'll be handing it off to Joshman.
All right, so.
Stop sharing, you chose the wrong one. Click that. It's this one.
Where'd you go? Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so the introduction to FTC coding. So Java is the main programming language used for FTC. We will not be teaching Java in this camp, so it'll be helpful if you're already familiar with Java and object-oriented programming. And this camp will focus on setting you up to be able to code with Java and allow you to run examples on your robot. So there are three main options for coding. There's Android Studio, on-bot Java, and block coding. In this camp, we're going to be mainly discussing Android Studio, and we're going to be talking a bit about on-bot Java, which will be coming up next. And then there's GitHub, which is used for source control and collaboration among the team. Okay, so what is on-bot Java? On-bot Java is a programming tool provided by FIRST, and it's used on a web browser, so there's no app installation required. FIRST recommends using Google Chrome, but it should work on any browser. The on-bot Java is hosted on the control hub itself, so it allows you to write code directly onto the device without having to download it on your computer first. And you only need to press a button to compile the code, and then it makes it available to run from your driver station. And the FTC SDK and Java tools are available on on-bot Java without any additional download. So everything's already there for you to start coding. On-bot Java is also very easy to collaborate on, and everyone can access the updated versions almost instantly. How does on-bot Java work? So you first need to connect your control hub from your computer. And then you need to enter the IP address 192.168.43.1:8080 into your browser to open the on-bot Java, and then you need to click the on-bot Java tab at the top of your screen. Then you can create a new file and start coding, and then you'll see an option to select from certain templates, and you can either choose an autonomous op mode or a IntelliOp. And these templates will set up the necessary configurations in the code for it to appear and run correctly as an autonomous or a IntelliOp on the driver station. So once you're finished coding and you're ready to run the code, you need to click the build button on the bottom right corner of the screen, and it will compile your code so it can be available to run from the driver station. Okay, so this is how on-bot Java looks. So when you enter that IP address into your browser, this is what you're going to see. You need to click this on-bot Java tab at the top here, and then this is the build button once you're done with your code.
Are you guys planning to demo on-bot Java?
I don't think so.
Was there any code that was ready for running? But you guys should at least show the interface. So while you guys set up to show the interface and share it on that, let's just check with the teams. So we saw that there were quite a few teams which are rookie teams. And so we wanted to ask you if you've thought through, block coding, on-bot Java coding, and Android Studio coding. Based on the experience of your software team, have you already decided if you want to do on-bot Java or Android Studio, or are you in the middle of figuring that out? And is this camp part of helping you figure that out? You can send responses if you want, or if you want to talk, definitely, unmute yourself and we can discuss that.
All right. So we're just opening this on our computer, and then we're going to screen share and show you how it looks.
And just to talk about, how many teams use on-bot Java and how many use Android Studio and how many use blocking or block coding. So a lot of new teams might choose to go with block coding, especially if they've worked with FLL and are really familiar. Their first year, they may choose to do that. But if you're a team that has knowledge of programming languages, maybe you've done Python and started picking up Java, or you may have already learned Java, in which case on-bot Java and Android Studio are definitely great options. And just to talk about, is one better than the other? I think Sashmit has some information on that in the very next slide, but I will just leave it at this. There are teams that have made it really far ahead, right up to the finals and Washington State Championship, which have used on-bot Java, and then there's those who have used Android Studio and done the same. So definitely look at the skill set that your team has, what your team is comfortable with, and then make your decision. And we're hoping this camp will help you achieve that. And that's part of why we will keep demonstrating some of these things as we go through each section. So I think at this point,
Okay,
Oh,
yeah, so we see a message for,
you can use the webcam and do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, so we're seeing a message from a team that's trying to decide between OnBot Java and Android Studio. And after we finish this demonstration, I have a slide that has the advantages and disadvantages of using OnBot Java, so I think that may help. Yeah, should I stop screen sharing?
No, you can keep, or yeah, actually, yeah, do.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna have to show on the webcam.
Yeah, all right.
So what we're going to do now is show the screen of the other laptop via the webcam. The reason for that is the laptop which is running the browser session to connect to the control hub will have to connect using a direct Wi-Fi to the control hub. So it cannot be on the Zoom call at the same time. So that's a lot of shaking, and I want to keep it on the table.
All right, so it's showing backwards.
There's glare.
It's, uh-oh.
Oh. What happened?
This is the TV.
Oh,
Okay, the camera's showing it backwards.
disconnected from.
So you cannot move this.
Yeah, we can't move this. then.
Okay, so, to access OnBot Java.
Hold on, let's make sure
you
there's.
First have to
there's
turn on your robot and have your control hub your light should be green, okay? Then depending on how you configured your control hub in the web hardware client, there should be a network that is the name of your control hub, okay? And in the web hardware client, you'll also set a password for that.
I know how to.
So for us, our control hub is called FTC camp.
Rishi, let's hold on for a moment because I think they're seeing a mirror.
Video setting.
We want to make sure that they
And
can
then,
see it in a
mirror
way
by
that
video.
can be read.
There you go. We're good.
Okay,
Okay,
Okay.
so, as I was saying.
you should start back from.
So, wait, I'm gonna just start over. So to access to access the interface, the web interface where OnBot Java is, you have to have your control hub has to be on and the light has to be green. And then based on how you configured your control hub, there should be an internet connect or a network that is the name of your control hub or whatever you set it to. And when you connect to that, you have to enter the password that you set. And then once you connect to that, you enter this IP address right here. It was in the slide as well. It's 192.168.43.1:8080. And that'll take you to this main page right here. Then what you do to access OnBot Java is you click on the OnBot Java tab right there. It's gonna load OnBot Java. And then here's the OnBot Java interface.
All right, so yeah. This is the interface for OnBot Java. You can add files here. Yes, we can add that. Press that button. And then this is where it will show you so this is the sample. Then it has lots of sample code where you can see how all the sensors work and linear modes and all stuff that we're looking over the data. And this is where you can do between it being autonomous or Italian. And like I said, this sets up the configurations in the code so that when you build the code, it shows correctly on the driver station for it to work.
You can't really see it. Yeah, there's too much glare. Yes.
So I'm just gonna pull up a sample so you can see how it works.
Oh, okay. It's not letting you get on.
Yeah, the glare is. So what we're gonna do, given that this is having too much of a glare, we're gonna create a separate video and make that available to everyone who's on this call, so that you can see exactly what we're showing here, but where it's actually legible.
Page 3.
Okay, let's try that. Hopefully that helps.
No,
It's the glare of the screen.
yeah, it didn't.
Okay, so in case you can't see this here, I just named the file sample code. The location should be there by default, and then I just selected a sample code. And now you can be able to press OK and see the file. Yeah.
So this is for the gyro sensor. It is really too much, but then this target.
Yeah, no, this is good.
All right, and then you press the show button, which you go, and then this. So, yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it.
So we will be making a separate video available where you can actually read the contents, and hopefully that helps.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to remove the spotlight.
Somebody who's deciding between onboard Java and block. You want
Yeah. Okay, so we got one more message of a team who's deciding between onboard Java and block coding. Okay, so yeah, so right now we're actually going to have a slide that goes over the advantages and disadvantages. And after that, if you have any more questions, you can feel free to ask. But we are going to go over Android Studio too. So that's the goal, is that we're going to help you decide with all the information. Okay, perfect. All right, okay, so, okay, so here's the advantages and disadvantages of using onboard Java. The advantages is there's no app installation required to use this, whereas in order to use Android Studio, you need to install 3 applications: the Android Studio, the FTC SDK, and Java. Onboard Java is also very easy to collaborate on, and the build time is very quick because it compiles the code directly onto the control hub, whereas Android Studio first compiles the code into a file that gets downloaded onto your laptop, and then you need to put that onto the control hub. And then the disadvantages is that you can't use Git or GitHub, so it's hard to track changes to your code. It has limited capability to load external libraries, and you need to be connected to the control hub while programming. So there will be no internet connection, which is why we couldn't share the screen there. And then you cannot code if you're away from the control hub. However, you can download the code while you are connected and then work on it later asynchronously. So yeah, the main thing is that onboard Java is just easy to use, but then you just don't get as much capability with it. So it really just depends on how much your team knows and your skill level, and then you can decide between onboard Java and Android Studio. So I think with that, I'll pass it on to.
I have one quick thing to add there. So I think the question that the second team asked was, they were trying to decide between onboard Java and block coding. So for that, what I would say is, if you are a second-year team, you obviously have already overcome the hurdles of the first year's learnings. And if you have team members that are already learning Java or have learned Java, then I would say definitely onboard Java is something you can easily give a try. And in fact, I would say don't even rule out Android Studio if you have team members who are already knowledgeable in Java. Because we have about 2.5 weeks, or no, actually 3 weeks before the season starts. So I think that is plenty of time, along with what you will pick up at this camp. I think that's plenty of time to get to a state where you will be able to work with Android Studio. And in fact, that's what we will focus on in this camp, rather than focusing more on just teaching Java. We actually won't even do that. The focus here is getting you set up so that you overcome all the hurdles that most teams face when you're trying to start using Android Studio. And also setting up GitHub so that you know how to work with that integration, and that helps with collaboration. But if you do not have any members who are already at least familiar with Java, then I would say it's probably not very practical to try to do that within 3 weeks and be coding. So I'll leave it at that, but we are happy to discuss if you want to, talk to us one-on-one after this camp, or even at the end of the day. Feel free to do that. Now, I realized that there were a couple of terms that were indicated which we may not have explained: teleop and autonomous, right? So given that there are a few rookie teams, the whole competition or each game is for 2.5 minutes. And of the 2.5 minutes, the first half minute is what is called the autonomous period, during which your robot has to accomplish tasks without any input from any human beings. It is kind of like FLL code. FLL is literally 2.5 minutes of autonomous, because there is no driver input that is being given. And then the second phase, which is the 2 minutes that are left, that's called the teleop period or the teleoperated period, which is where two drivers are interacting with the robot and driving it to accomplish the tasks. So I hope that clarifies it for anybody who are wondering what teleop and autonomous were. And I believe we didn't do introductions. So at some point, let's take a break and do introductions, because I think you guys have been going through a lot of material pretty quickly. Any questions from anyone on what you've seen so far?
So it sounds like Android Studio is the ideal solution if team knows Java.
Yes, if the team knows Java, I would definitely say they're ready for.
And the advantage I see is the use of GitHub. But other than that, what are the other advantages of Android Studio?
Okay, so if you can move that chat.
I'll move it away. 1 second. There we go.
So as far as you see the disadvantages of on-board Java. So it has a limited capability to load external libraries. So if you intend to use some libraries of your own, or for example, a great example would be Easy OpenCV, which is a library that allows you to work with colors, recognizing colors and related capabilities. So it is something like TensorFlow, but from a color perspective rather than object detection. So it is a machine learning based library. So you would not be able to use that if you were to use on-board Java. And then, Sashmit, that you guys have not.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we haven't used it.
Right. So, and the need to be connected to the control hub while programming, that is pretty important also. So if you're working with onboard Java, you constantly have to be connected to the control hub from the laptop where you're writing the code. So firstly, it means one person is doing this at a time.
Yeah.
And then secondly, it means, like the very reason we couldn't share the screen here, in order to work with onboard Java, you're connected with a direct Wi-Fi to the control hub. Of course, you can add a USB dongle Wi-Fi and work around it that way, but that is one of the immediate obstacles that teams face. And then you cannot code if you're away from the control hub. Yeah, so exactly. If you're disconnected from the control hub, you just cannot write any new code.
And when you use Android Studio, how do you download the code, or how do you interact with the code?
So once you have the, right, we will show that later, but once we are set up initially, you'll need a USB cable. But on Windows laptops, very easily you can shift to Wi-Fi soon after that.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions, anyone? Okay, so what was the next section you guys were going to talk about? Android Studio, okay. So maybe that's a good time to get to introductions too. So let's just move on to the next slide, and then if you can bring back the camera to point to everyone. So let's start with everyone in the room. So if you want to just point the camera to them, you guys can go ahead and get yourself introduced. Just indicate which FTC team, indicate your name and which FTC team you're on and what you're looking to gain from this camp. Okay. Isha, you can go ahead. Which FTC camp? I mean FTC team. What do you hope to gain from the camp? Maybe you want to be set up to be able to write Java code and get it to your robot. Okay.
My name is Krisha, and I'm from FTC team 206. We haven't decided on the name. To gain skills
That was funny because I saw the name Undecided. I thought that was the team name, Undecided. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Arjun from Data Bionics. And I hope to like gain familiarity for all of the coding related apps.
We'll point that way too. So Jahangir?
Hi, my name is Jahangir. I'm representing 23368. And my team will be coming next week for this camp, but I decided to come this week. What I'm trying to get out of this camp is essentially just how to get started, the fundamentals of hardware and software, because we are a rookie team. So I'm a mentor, but I need to learn a lot. So that's what I'm doing.
So everyone who's remote, if you would like to unmute and just introduce yourselves, that would be great. You'll all be spending the next 2 hours today, or 2.5, and then 3 hours tomorrow together. So I think it's good to get introduced.
And please the chat is fine if you can't unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Colton, and I'm here with my friend Carter.
Hi.
Hi, Colton. Hi, Carter.
Hello.
Colton and Carter, I think your FTC team was programming Pythons, is that correct?
What?
Oh, we were just asking your team name.
Oh, programming Pythons.
Right, who wants to go next?
Anyone else?
I'm Carl. I'm the lead mentor for 17596 mainframe robotics out of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Nice.
It's nice to meet you.
It was very interesting because your team number is just one off of 17595, which a few members are here from. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm invited. Oh, okay. Give me a second.
Problem.
Okay, sorry, I was having echo problems. I'm invited FTC 23404. Bot not found. We're a rookie team.
Nice. Yeah, I guess I should have asked if you're comfortable and want to indicate where you're from. That's probably a good idea too. Okay.
Oh, you're asking where's the team from?
Yeah.
Okay. Redmond, Washington.
Oh, Edmund Watson. All right. Anyone else want to introduce themselves? Okay. All right. Do you guys want to go ahead and get started with the next step?
Okay. So before we start these next few sections, I just wanted to say, wait, what? Oh, yeah. I just wanted to say that these next few sections are very hands-on, and it's important that you listen thoroughly. Otherwise, you could end up with errors or doing something wrong. So just get everything ready. So get your computer ready and make sure you're listening intently, because these next few steps are really important and very hands-on. So before we start, what is Android Studio? Android Studio is an IDE, integrated development environment, that allows you to code applications for Android OS. If you remember from previous slides, the Control Hub runs Android OS, meaning that the use of Android Studio is the only way we can put code onto the Control Hub. Well, not the only way, but it's the only way we can do it that isn't on bot Java and block programming. So what do we need to install? So we need to install Android Studio, of course. We also need to install Java and the FTC SDK software development kit, which does require a different installation process that we will go over in later slides.
So I'll just add one thing here. I know we have Java on there. That's probably a good idea to have Java for other reasons, but the more recent versions of Android Studio, they include a Java SDK within them. So you will be able to use Android Studio even if you did not explicitly download Java and install it. So if you don't have reasons like you have other IDEs you're already playing with, or you just want to go down to basics and understand how do you compile a single Java file? How do you run it? Using the Javac, which is JAVAC command. For such things, you will need to have the SDK downloaded as shown in step 2. And I think we had requested everyone to complete step 1 because that involved a 2 GB download. And just in the interest of time, we had hoped that everyone would get a chance to download that and install it. So if you have not had a chance to do that, please let us know now so that we can accommodate for that time and make sure you are able to get that downloaded and installed. So let's just open the chat, see if everyone.
So
is
if you
curious.
have installed it, please indicate in the chat. And if you haven't, also indicate, because we're trying to limit the time we need to install things.
Okay, so yeah, if there's so Java, yeah, you don't have to install Java right now. You can do that later on. But Android Studio is the one which we do need to have been installed already. Okay, so we got one response. So we can proceed, I think,
Okay.
because nobody indicated that they have not installed it.
Do you want me to skip?
So you all want to get your laptops out at this point?
Do you want me to skip over installing Android Studio, or do you want me to do that?
So we will. Yeah. So anyway, it was just a standard installation.
Mhm.
And since no one indicated that they have not installed it, I think,
Okay.
okay, so yeah, I think you can
Yeah.
proceed. So the next step would be downloading the
FTC
FTC SDK. Oh, well, no, actually, yeah, please do go through those steps.
Okay, so if you haven't installed Android Studio, here's just a quick rundown. So navigate to the website shown in the previous slide. So this one right here, developer.android.com/studio. Click the green download button and accept the terms of service. The file is about 1 GB, so depending on your internet speed, it might take varying time. So once you've installed it, just double click it and wherever you installed it and wait for the installation window to open. So when you first install it, a UAC prompt will show up. If you do not have admin privileges on your computer, you won't be able to install Android Studio. So just keep clicking next until you see the install button. Click install, and then it should take about a minute to 2 minutes to finish the first stage of installation. And then Android Studio will open and you will see this screen right here. Keep clicking next and do the standard installation. And then once you've completed all those steps, it'll take you to a license screen where you can accept all the licenses and then just click finish.
So in this step, it's a little tricky because you need to select each of those top level packages
Mhm.
and then agree,
Mhm.
because it's not one agreement for the entire thing. It's 3 different agreements, and you need to click on the top level for each of the
Yeah.
agreements.
So yeah. And then after you've done that, just click finish and it should take you to a second installation screen. That one will take a little bit more time, about 2 to 3 minutes, and then you should be done installing Android Studio and it should open up. So if you want to install Java, I'll just leave this up for a couple of seconds just to show you where to download it from. But you do not need this if you are just planning to use Android Studio.
Any questions so far? Did any of you face any challenges when you were trying to install Android Studio that you would like to talk about? Great, that's
Okay,
good.
so I'm going to move on now. And then finally, we need to install the FTC Java SDK. This is very important if you want to code in FTC robot. So go to this link right here, github.com/first-tech-challenge/FTC robot controller/releases/tags/version 8.2.
So Rishi, if you can copy that and paste it in chat, because I think from this point on, we are doing this interactively. So everyone needs to have a chance to download that.
Right here, I'll just open it up.
So, yeah, all of you in the room, if you had a chance to connect to the guest Wi-Fi, I think we should have mentioned that. So the guest Wi-Fi information. Oh, perfect.
Here, but I didn't have those here.
Okay, so there's that guest Wi-Fi information. You guys can connect to the Wi-Fi and then go to that link, which was just here. So. for
What
those
F-
who are
what F
here
is full
locally,
screen, is it?
yeah, you
Full
want
okay.
to copy that down or? You already downloaded it. You did too?
Okay. It's in full screen. No, but there's the tabs. The tabs weren't there before. Yeah, okay, Chrome current slide. Yeah, okay. So once you've gone to this website, you'll see a green code button in the top right, like in the right area of the screen. Actually, yeah, good idea. So you'll see here. So down here. Okay, so right here, click the. Well, okay, yeah, I just click the source code button, the zip one. If you are on anything other than Windows and Mac, you would click this, but I assume none of you are. So click the zip file and it'll download a zip file, which you need to unzip. Then after, what? Yeah, fine. Later steps. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So we'll download this. This is the part. Files. Yes.
Yeah, so. On this page, there's a source code and this file.
Let's get up next. So if you have installed the zip file, please indicate in the chat so we know when to move on.
So let's give a minute or two for everyone to download that zip file.
And
Just to repeat that, it's the third file that you see there, the source code zip file that you want to download.
it'll say zip next to it.
Unless you're on a Linux machine and you want, then you want the last one.
Mhm. Yeah, and then once you're done installing it, just right click and unzip it.
And once you've unzipped that, you can leave that folder alone. We're going to use it a little later on after the next few steps.
Okay,
If anyone's not yet had a chance to unzip that file after downloading it, please let us know. So we'll wait for you.
yeah. So if you are still in like unzipping and downloading or unzipping, please indicate. Otherwise, we will move on to the final
I
step.
think we have one person here who's still doing that. So, I'm just going to start this second.
Yeah, I think we can.
Okay, our file is unzipped. Good. Okay. So after this, you can just extract it and then you should be ready to go. You don't need to do anything with it until later steps, which we will do later.
So let's just give a moment because it's almost.
Everybody who's like finished unzipping the file, could you like send a message in chat?
Yeah.
So I think one thing we didn't indicate was where do you unzip that file, right? So at this point, it does not matter where you unzip it, as long as you remember
Where it
and
is.
are able to access it, because you're going to be copying the contents of that folder to a different location.
Mhm.
So just be aware where you unzip it, and that is good enough for now. Okay, I think at this point, we can continue.
Okay, so we are going to be moving on to the next section of the presentation. It's fine. Let me just.
Do we have any questions regarding what all the steps that have been completed so far? Anyone? Okay.
Should we do a demo alongside this? I'll do it.
So I'll be talking about Git, GitHub, and source control. So what is Git and GitHub? So Git is a source control system that is used to track your changes in code over time. And GitHub is the online cloud provider that hosts your changes. Why do we use Git? If we assume that like I make changes to the code and I tell everyone except maybe Rishi that about the changes, then he will not know that I changed the code. But if I put my changes in Git and then upload them to GitHub, all Rishi has to do is check GitHub to see if there's any changes.
And one more really important part about version control or source control systems is you want to know who made the change and exactly what they changed, so that if there's a problem or a mistake, then you have the ability to compare previous versions with the new versions and go make changes and fix them. That's one of the other advantages. And also, the biggest advantage, if you have a crash of your system, you're not losing all the code. It is being stored because you're using GitHub. It's all stored online, and you have access to all the code along with a history of all the changes that it's gone through. Okay.
Key terms to know. Repository or a repo is a collection of files combined with their history that are managed by Git. A commit is a group of changes made to files along with a description of the changes that you made. A clone is a local copy of a repository on your computer. A push is when you upload your commits to GitHub, and a pull is when you get the changes from GitHub and download them.
So at this point, maybe let's just check, get everyone, like open the chat and let's ask, how many of you have worked with some kind of version control or some kind of system like Git or SVN or anything like that? Have any of you had a chance to work with anything like that? Okay, so I don't see any responses yet. And one more question at this point. How many of you have not had a chance to create a GitHub account before the camp? So if you don't have a GitHub account, please let us know, because one of the next slides, I think, will pause and give time so that you have a GitHub ID created. It's free. You just have to go to github.com and say create account, and you create a free individual account. So if you do not have a GitHub ID, please let us know in the chat or by unmuting and talking. Okay, looks like we can proceed.
Installing Git and creating your first repo. So first of all, we all need to install Git. So if you're on Windows, go to the following link here to install Git. If you are on macOS or Linux, you already should have Git installed. Let me just copy this link. I'm gonna paste this link in the chat. And we'll wait for a bit until everyone's gotten installed.
So once you finish installing it, just put it in the chat.
Please let us know if you're still in the middle of installing it. Now, a few of us here are still installing it.
Just a reminder, when you're done installing Git, just like send a message in the chat.
So as one of the steps when you're installing Git, you might get a dialog which prompts you, should you use VIM as the default editor for Git? Or if you want to use Notepad++, I would suggest just pick the nicest text editor that you have. So if you have Notepad only, then that is fine. But if you have Notepad++, please select that, because then you'll have a nicer editor where you can enter your comments and watch the source.
So Colton and Carter, on your question of what should we name our repo? Right now, we'll get to naming our repos in a later slides. So right now, if you're just not done with the installation, just that's all you need to do right now.
Is everybody in person done installing Git?
It's on the same slide.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Cool.
And after selecting that VIM, you may get some questions about whether it should say Git from command line or use Git from Git bash only. So use the recommended values for all those options, please. Okay, let's see. We have a coach. Okay, so regarding the hardware that you need, so this was in the email, but we'll post that there in the chat right now in a couple of minutes. And one of you who's on the I'll copy it from the email. Yeah, if you can copy the hardware that's needed in case it can.
I think this is.
Yeah, because we get all the.
Should we just take a break?
Guys, yeah, so I was gonna talk about breaks. Well, yeah, I think we want to wait. Until the- So once we have Git installed.
Are we done?
GitHub account all verified, I think we'll take a break at that point. Can one of you help us do that?
Next.
And then because of. So all I need is this terminal. And I'll do this and get it.
We're moving. All right, so I think everybody's done by now, so let's move on. So now that you've installed Git, if you're on Windows, you'll have to open up the app called Git Bash. But if you're on a Mac or Linux, you have to open up your terminal app. So. Okay, so now that you've opened up the terminal app. Oh. Desktop. So after this, you need to go to the location where you have your FTC robot controller. So if you're confused, basically what you have to do is you need to do CD and go to your location where you unzipped it. So I'm assuming many of you put in your downloads. So you just have to run these two commands to get to downloads. If you're confused, just put it in the chat. You have a Chromebook. I don't. So Colton and Carter's question is, we have a Chromebook. So I'm not sure if Git Bash works on a Chromebook.
So is there no hard drive on that machine?
I'm not sure how a Chromebook works. I'm not sure how a Chromebook works.
No, because there's also like the Linux on.
So Colton and Carter, did you guys get the Git Bash installed yet, or have you not gotten that part done yet? Oh. All right. We have someone checking that out right now.
So at this point.
You get a third party software.
Right, because on Chromebook, it's sort of. They can do it, it's possible, it's just that we need to have.
So from what you guys are finding out, Chromebook is not an option.
It is an option, but you have to do some steps for it to be.
You have to install Linux first.
Yeah, so like in the Chromebook settings, if you go to advanced, there's like a Linux tab and you put it and it installs Linux.
So for the users, so let's see, so Colton and Carter, you both are on a Chromebook. Are both of you on two different Chromebooks, or do one of you have a Windows laptop? And feel free to talk, you can unmute and talk.
We have two different Chromebooks.
Okay, are you familiar with the settings to make Linux work on it?
I'm not, but I don't know about Colton. Are you familiar with the settings? To make it
Ticket, yeah.
No, I don't know the settings.
So from a quick look and a quick search, what they have found out is if you want to use a Chromebook, you would have to use it with Linux enabled so that it's acting like a Linux notebook. Otherwise, yeah, you may have to work with a Windows machine. I know you both said you'll have some hardware. So was your team's intention to use Chromebooks for coding and for working with your robot?
Yeah, I think it was.
That's what we did last year.
So last year you used block coding, and is it why you were able to do that without issues?
Last year we used
last
Java.
Last year we used Java. We had there was someone on our team and he knew like Java really well, but then this year he left. And now we don't have anybody who knows Java. So.
And you both were able to use your Chromebook to work with code. That's right.
Yeah, I think so.
So let's have some of our members do some quick research.
There's an one of our members posted an article in the chat. Maybe you can look at that and then try to follow that.
Okay.
So Carter and Colton, did you both use Git or GitHub last year for source code management?
I don't think so. I think we used like can't remember. Oh no, I think we used Python.
So right, so we were going through the GitHub option because that's just a great way to manage the code as well as collaborate with your teammates. But there's certainly not a total requirement that you should be using Git and GitHub. But if you want to collaborate, if multiple people on your team are writing the code and then you're going to need some way of managing it. You could manage things manually, but it's just going to be really tedious and not the best way to go about it if you can help it. So in order to work with Git and setting up GitHub and working with source code that way, it sounds like you'll have to go through the article that is shared. Otherwise, Chromebook may not be an option. Can some of you also research Git itself is usable on a Chromebook?
That's
how that what it is. Okay.
So installing Git and Chromebook.
Okay.
If you enable Linux, it has Git.
So what we'll do is, Colton and Carter, you both follow these instructions. Let's take we were going to take a break at 2:30 Pacific time for about 15 minutes. Maybe we'll take that break now. It's 2:16 Pacific. So we'll get back at 2:30 or 31 Pacific. And hopefully you've had a chance to go through some of those steps. Does it sound like a plan, everyone? And meanwhile, I mean, we'll have a 15-minute break, but after that, we do want to start off with 5 or 10 minutes of questions from everyone, because you've been going through all these steps. We want to make sure everyone's comfortable with where they are and are able to follow along. Because our intention here really is, at the end of this camp, we want you to be able to write some Java source and have it download into a robot. I know being remote, you may not have access to hardware, but the same code that you are seeing, we are going to download here to a robot. So we want to make sure you get to that point. And that's why please ask questions. If you're stuck somewhere, do not let us proceed, because we want to make sure everyone's unblocked and able to progress along. So let's take a 15-minute break at this point. So for the benefit of the recording, and I'm just going to repeat that last statement. The FTC SDK was expanded in the downloads folder for a lot of you. That's just not the ideal place to keep your code. So you may want to move it to documents and then code and FTC or some folder structure like that. If you leave it in downloads, it will still work. This is just a suggestion.
Okay, so I'm assuming at this point where we left off was everyone was in their folder where they have the FTC robot controller. So
You want me to
yeah,
get
you have to,
yeah. Where is that? It should,
Is the
yeah.
CD code and
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah, I forgot, yeah, code. And yeah, code. And yeah. And then I'll launch that. Exactly.
wait, can you just check?
you didn't.
No, I think you want to go back one further.
Oh, go, no,
You
No.
already expanded it.
no, that's from yesterday.
Oh, so
That's
you
my-
guys are going to extract it now?
Yeah, well,
So it's,
oh yeah, shoot, we didn't extract it, that's the issue. We never extract,
so this one,
yeah, and then coding. Yeah, this, yeah, we never extracted it,
okay, that's right.
Now you guys can.
no,
So let's just make sure that everybody at this point is in a similar step. Either in your Git bash window or in your Mac OS terminal window. Please navigate into that FTC robot
Wait.
controller -8.2.
yeah, we
Okay.
don't, we have to do that, like.
Yeah.
You need to go.
To get there.
And everybody here in person, please make sure you're at the same step.
Yeah, and then you do the git.
So if everybody's now in their FTC robot controller folder,
Let's just give a moment. I think there's few
All right.
people who are trying to get to that screen. So you open Git bash. So maybe you need to show how to open Git bash, because we don't take anything for granted. So let's go ahead and in a Windows laptop, if you can open Git bash. So what we could do is one of you who has a Windows laptop, maybe get on a Zoom call. Okay, yeah, get on a Zoom call and then you can. But does that have Git bash?
Oh,
So you can use.
oh, no, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's, GitHub, we had.
Okay, all right.
I'm just
Switch
going,
to sharing
we're gonna be
laptop.
switching over to our demo laptop on Windows, so we can show how to do it on Windows as well.
So if you're on a Mac, it's pretty easy because you just open the terminal like was shown. But if you're on a Windows laptop or PC, please wait because they're gonna share. Did you guys already start sharing? Okay, yeah. So what you're seeing now is the Windows interface. So everyone here in person, please follow along. If you have Windows.
So now on Windows, you have to open up your Windows menu and type in git bash. And you need to open this. And something similar to this will pop up for you. So now,
So Ron, you.
so,
Says the.
Do you have the code downloaded here?
No, we didn't like install that. We haven't done that yet.
So is there, you probably want to use another Windows laptop then to show the code process. Or just show git bash, just show how you go into the extracted code. Just a moment as they get the source code onto the Windows laptop, just to show how you would work with a Windows laptop to get the git bash working.
Okay, so now we've extracted it. So on our Windows computer, we would just go CD and go to downloads. And then into FTC robot controller.
So the shared screen is kind of cutting off the first left-hand side. Is there any way to do that?
Just like.
Yeah, that might be.
Yeah, that's it.
So now everyone should be in FTC robot controller. So now the command we want to run is git init. So
Do you want to shift over to the Mac at this point? Because from this point on, it's the exact same.
yeah, I think we'll just do it from here since we have it running.
I don't know, we have like the slideshow.
Yeah, that was my thinking. If you want to show the slideshow, because the commands are on the slideshow.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so.
So we want to run the command git init in the location. So it'd be git init. And you should just see messages like this. And what this is doing is this is making an empty git repository in the FTC robot controller folder. So this is basically setting you up so that you can start uploading your code to GitHub and start doing source control.
So let's wait to make sure everyone has reached this step, because I know there's some who are still trying to get the git bash and get to the folder location.
So once everybody has done git init in their folder, just send a message in the chat saying that you're done.
I'm getting this command not found.
And if anybody has any issues, just post that in the chat as well, and we'll try to help you. I can put the command in the chat, everyone, so anybody can copy it as well. So Colton and Carter can't find git init. Could you explain a little bit more what you mean? Like, is it giving you an error or something?
Yeah, wait. Yeah, you guys, so.
So make it clear to the ones who are on Windows that you need to do this through git bash, not your command.
Oh, yeah.
Not through a command prompt.
Yeah, this is a separate from. Yeah, so you guys, since you're on the Chromebooks and they didn't support Linux, you guys, I don't think you'll be able to actually use like Git. So,
So Colton and Carter, what's going to happen is because you are unable to install Git bash, you will be unable to use these parts, which is getting a code repository set up. But hold on to that location. So you already have the unzipped SDK, right? So after a few more steps. Okay, so Varun, I saw your message. Yes, that looks good. Yes, that looks good. So let's leave that way for now. And then Colton and Carter, what you both will do is you will wait till we get to the point where Android Studio is going to be used to start working with the SDK. So anything that involves Git and GitHub, you will be unable to do on the Chromebook. But if you manage to get a Windows laptop, maybe tomorrow we can definitely help you quickly get to a state where you can follow along. Or if you intend to continue using the Chromebook, you can still do this. You can still write all your code in Android Studio and follow along, but you just won't have GitHub integration. So does that sound fine, Colton and Carter? Okay, so Colton and Carter, we'll let you know when we get to the point where you should also be able to follow along. The next several steps will be around just GitHub. So please bear with us till then. Yeah, thank you.
Does everyone in person finish getting it?
So everyone open Git bash and run Git, right? So you are ahead already. But did you get a chance to open Git bash and see that? Okay, so sounds like everyone here has completed running the git init command. And now you want to comment on Warren's question?
So if you see, it should say initialize empty Git repository in the folder where you're running it, and that is completely normal. All right. So the next step will be setting up some things related to your GitHub account. So can everybody raise their hand if they have a GitHub account already created? Okay.
Yeah, so everyone in the room has, and I think when we asked earlier, no one said they had not created a GitHub account.
Okay.
So other than Colton and Carter, everybody else should be able to follow along.
All right. So now there's two commands that we need to run. And these basically just save in your computer your details for Git. So the commands are on screen and just replace your full name with your name in the GitHub account and your email address with the email address you use to sign up for GitHub.
Is that your username?
It's your real name, the one that you put in GitHub.
So what is being done in this step is you're telling Git that the user who's doing all the actions in Git is the person with this name and this email address. Sometimes this gets logged in messages. So for example, when you're collaborating with your team, this way your team members will be able to see exactly who did what in the code. And that's why you're setting up the configuration with your information.
You have a name set up so people may not, so you can tell them how to add a name.
And while you're all doing this, I'd just like to add that there are really multiple different ways in which you can work with GitHub. So what is being shown here is you are creating a repository locally, and then you're going to push it to GitHub. Okay, so that's one option. And as part of this, you will be creating a new repository in GitHub and then associating this one, the local repository, into that one by pushing it. There's a few different other options. One, you could go to GitHub, you could create a new repository there. You could clone it on your local machine. And after cloning it, you can copy all the contents from your SDK folder and put it in there. and then push the whole thing. So that's one more way. That way you don't go through the init and config steps. But GitHub, they indicate that this would be the better approach, but there are multiple approaches like that. And for those who want to learn more about GitHub and other options, there's something called GitHub Desktop. So that is a software that is provided by, or an application that is provided by GitHub. And you can do all your source code related activities using that application, if that is the way you want to work with it. But doing it this way in Android Studio, you will be able to commit code through Android Studio, and you'll be able to pull code through Android Studio if you did it this way. If you use GitHub Desktop, you could work on that separately. So whenever you write code and compile and have changes in Android Studio, you will open up GitHub Desktop and push code from there. Or if you want to pull changes that your teammates have made, you'll go to GitHub Desktop and pull the latest changes that way. That's just one more option. Wanted to make you aware because you may see somebody else doing that. And we just want you to know that there are multiple ways to work with GitHub. And this is simply one of the ways which we have found is simple and easy to use. But know that there are other options.
So has everybody run these two commands in person and virtually? Yep, I think.
Or is there a question?
No.
No,
He's a never mind. Okay, so we're gonna be moving on to the next slide now. So now this is how you actually use Git and GitHub together. So now we have to go to GitHub on their web browser. So let's do that. So over here, now there is a option on the left, which is new. So we're going to click that. And now we have options to create a new repository. So we'll just name this preseason FTC SDK. So we're going to call it preseason FTC SDK. All right. And we can, it doesn't matter what you set it to, but for now, we'll just set it to public. And is everybody at this step? Can you, if you're at this step, can you raise your hand? Okay, I think we'll wait until everybody on Zoom also reaches this step.
You want to show them how you browse to that?
Oh, I showed that. Yeah. If you've gotten to this step and named your repository, just raise your hand in Zoom. All right, I think all the people that were following along have gotten to this step. So now we're gonna hit the button Create Repository. And now you see this. So right now we can ignore this. So let's just go back to our presentation. And in the FTC robot controller folder, these are the 3 commands we need to run. So let's go to the terminal and run them.
So basically, for those who are on Windows laptops, you're going to go back to that git bash window which you had open, and that's where you will do that. And for those who are on Macs or Linux machines, you will go to the terminal window, just as shared here on screen, and that's where you will run those commands.
All right. So let me clear this. So now the first command that we need to run here is git remote add origin. And now we can just go to here and we can just go here, right? And
So we just realized one thing, for those who are on Mac laptops, if you have not installed Xcode, you may not necessarily have Git already. So if there's anyone who's remote, who's using a Mac and did not have Xcode installed, and that's causing you to get delayed, please let us know in the comments. If you have a if you have a Mac laptop and you did not have Xcode and hence did not have Git, please let us know. And then, is there anyone who's remote who joined during our break? Because I realized some of you did not receive the link, which was sent out just a few minutes before for the last group registered. If there's anyone here, we'd like to help you quickly get up to speed.
I don't think it's anybody. Okay, so now in the web browser, where when you created the new repository, there should be a box that says quick setup if you've done this kind of thing before. So we just have to go here and copy this URL. It should say github.com/your GitHub username /preseason FTC SDK. So just copy that, head back into the terminal, and paste it here. And on Windows, you should be able to paste by clicking either Control V or right clicking. And on Mac, you should just do Command V. So I'll wait until everybody has typed this up. So once you've gotten to this point, just raise your hand. Also, by the way, when you're entering it right here, it should be your GitHub username, not this one. So as shown on the PowerPoint right here, you should put in your GitHub username here.
And thinking ahead, when you're doing this as a team, so there's various ways in which you can set up your team ID. So you could, maybe your mentor or one of you can create a repository and add others as collaborators. That's the simplest approach you can take. But you could also create a GitHub ID for your team. So for example, you might have one called uncommon denominators. That would be your user name. And you would create repositories under that. So the person or the user who has the password for uncommon denominators would use it. And then you would add the others as collaborators to that particular repository so that they can also then work with that repository. That's another option. Or you could create something called an organization. Now, this is getting into more complex ways of doing it, but it's just easier to manage, and especially if you're thinking long-term, making those repositories available to next year teams and so on. And you want to make sure that those who join for next year, they have access only to that new year's repository for writing, but have read access to all the previous year's code. Things like that would be possible if you used an organization. And we won't get into the details of that, but we just wanted to make you aware that there's multiple ways you could manage this. So if you went with the organization, you can add teams in there. So you could have a team for 2023 and another team for 2024 and different members added into the team. And that way you give access to entire repositories just by giving access to the team. And automatically it would include all the members in the team. So management is easier, but it would require you to do a little learning on how you would work with organizations. I think at this point, we're waiting on everyone to catch up on the commands. So everyone here, see one person talking, you good? Appreciate you good.
You were sharing on these slides.
Yes. Okay. We'll share the video. We'll probably wait till tomorrow, just in case we modify something. Yes.
Okay. So. Can you tell him to run with it like that?
Oh no, she's getting the same one. Yeah, you make all the one just public, forever, or you make it very public. Let's see, I don't know from there. We asked the people online if they didn't do it.
Which are the,
No idea.
okay.
No, starting October 2020. People are brand new. Yesterday, and I do it right now. So, yeah, I'm doing this. Yeah, wait, let me try.
Okay, let's provide an update to everyone who's on the Zoom call. So we're
Having another error.
Yeah, everyone's having some sort of error right now.
Yeah.
okay, failed to push.
Yeah, we had the same.
I think lots of
We
people
had
are getting the same error.
Yeah, we had.
I asked to everyone, is anyone getting an error? And no one else has responded. I'm not sure if there's anyone else.
Okay.
Yeah, we had.
So far as an update, I think Varun and Vihan, you both are seeing an error.
Yeah, tell.
That not a Git repository or any of the parent directories. So Varun and Vihan, you did get success upon Git init, correct?
Yeah, I think it's just, that's the same part which we're also.
Okay.
Oh, no, it is coming, it is coming. You have to commit, remember. you always-
So we are trying this here. One of the students was here in person is seeing the same issue. So we are working on a fix for that. So Varun and Vihan, we will share that with you as soon as we find out what the fix is.
Oh, you have to log in. It's what you mean, I think that I want to.
Did you have? Okay.
I think, oh, wait, no, you added a new. Yeah, that's what you're going to.
So upon Git remote, did it ask for the password?
No, it only.
Yeah, so it just assigned it now. Look,
She's getting an account?
it gets assigned the window. A new feature.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen that before, so I've never saw that window pop up.
No, that's okay. So once she logs in there, she'll be good enough. But is the issue overcome?
Yeah, the issue's overcome. I don't know, I never faced that issue.
No, that's
Uh,
okay.
yeah, I
So
never faced it.
let's help everyone else
Okay.
overcome the issue. And I think among the Zoom users, we have one person having that
Okay,
same issue.
dominant word. Dominant word.
Yeah, okay. So we realized the git push /u origin main is failing for many people. So we found a solution for that. So first of all, you run this command, the git remote add, then you specify the branch main.
So I think I know why that happened. Once you're done with that.
So, and now we have to do two new commands, which wasn't listed. So you gotta do git add dot. And this will give up a lot of text, but, oh, or not, okay. And then you do git commit -m. And this is, and then you put parentheses and enter the message project setup. And you add another parenthesis.
So before you.
Oh, quotation marks, yeah, sorry.
So just that last command there, where you're committing and you have a commit message, as it is called. This is very, very important because it's easy, depending on how many times you're committing code, you may have to enter these comments often, sometimes multiple days, multiple comments within the same day. Please take the time to give good comments so that it's clear to the next person what exactly changed. It can be multiple words, it can even be 2 sentences, if that's what you need to do. So don't feel like, of course, you don't want to have a whole paragraph, but don't feel like you have to restrict the amount of information you're indicating in your Git commit message. Please make it easy for the next person to understand what's going on. So here, project setup, it is supposed to mean the project has just been set up. So if you want to actually make this even more verbose and say initial check-in of project or initial check-in of SDK, that is perfectly acceptable. So if you, and this is something that will be visible to all the other users of that repository when they try to look at the history. So let's just ask everyone if you are able to successfully complete what you're seeing so far.
Okay, you can go to GitHub and.
Yeah, I guess I don't. There's only 4.
Oh.
3 members.
Okay.
The demo and then I don't know.
It might have been, I think, no, Coltrane Cutter is there.
Dash.
So for everyone on the call, just want to make it clear why we are spending this much time on the GitHub part. So for a lot of teams that are starting new with Android Studio, this is one of the challenges, being able to set up and work with GitHub. And that's why we are focusing on the aspects that I know our teams struggled. Those are the pieces that we're trying to make sure you get right. Tomorrow, and then, if depending on how far we go today, we will start writing some code, but we will also show you where you can find a lot of the code samples and how you would copy those and work with those. So if you're feeling like we haven't gotten to the coding part yet, that's going to happen soon. And this is really valuable, what you're going through from the perspective of managing code through the whole season. You guys want to go ahead there and continue? Okay. So everyone here got theirs to work? So I think we're almost everyone here also succeeded. Just want to add why you might have had an error. So you're seeing that git branch -m main. So recently it git moved from using what was called the master branch to using the main branch as the default. And it could be related to that. Now, you may see when we say main branch, I know we haven't discussed branches in GitHub. We probably don't need to because you'll typically be using just one branch unless you're in a software development organization and you have multiple releases of the software. So in this case, it will either be main or master. Main is the new default branch. So I would suggest please use main as your branch or default branch.
And space dot.
Okay. So you guys
It's uploaded. There we
are
go.
uploading right now. Okay. So is there anyone who's on the Zoom call who has not gotten to the point that you're seeing running on there? If you have any questions, please ask in chat.
Sure.
Varun, can you please confirm if you were able to get beyond the issue that you were seeing?
So far, so good. We've been helping me in the last time.
It's stuck for some reason.
Do you want to switch over to GitHub and just check if?
Oh, it's not there yet. I
the code
checked.
came
Yeah, it's not.
It's not there yet.
through? We are on a slow
It did.
connection.
It like upload everything, but it's not confirming. Commit -m initial checkout. Check. So eventually, once you run all those commands, you should be able to go to GitHub and reload the page. And you should see all the FTC SDK code in GitHub. So if you see that, can you just raise your hand and we'll be able to know. Okay. Arjun, can you see it? We'll go.
you open the binary and kind of find out where it is? Yeah. Let me know if you found it. Well, you can't find it, you can figure out what it is. You can't find it, so I need to just download it again. That works too.
Can you check if yeah, push my here?
No, not yet. No, it's like so weird.
You can try that with the Windows laptop.
Try what?
Try the same with the Windows laptop. Use a different repository now to push. So for those who are on Zoom, can you please send a message if you were successful in getting all your code to push to GitHub? And if you're able to refresh your GitHub repository page and actually see the code in GitHub. If you've managed to do that, please let us know. Okay, so I did not see anyone respond to that. If you are in the same state where you're seeing this window where you executed the push, and then after it enumerated the objects and counted them, it is stuck where it's not showing as if it's done. If you're at that point, please send a message. Different people. So Rishi or Naman, can you help with that? So if you're there or Nani, what step are you?
She was trying to find her FTC on the phone. So is it here or you can find it? Okay, so let's install it here. Yeah. And I have the same festival stuff and I like it doesn't show what I'm thinking, but
User ID application ID search. Instead, what needs to happen is it needs to pop up. Rishi, can you come in and take a look?
I gotta just do it in one moment.
Oh, okay. But why wasn't it taking much?
Yeah, I checked it on my GitHub account.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is where this is where you really use the token. So let's, Naman, can you go through the creation of the token?
Yeah, sure.
Because there are some users who are going to need that.
Most on Windows, it'll just open up a browser window and you'll be logged in, but from Mac,
And everyone's already gone through that step, right?
Yeah,
Naman, has everyone gone through the step, like on Zoom
Push.
call? Has everyone gone through the step of getting a pop-up where they had to sign in, a GitHub pop-up?
nobody responded when I asked them when he finished,
Yeah.
so.
So everyone on Zoom, we kind of want some responses so that we can help you. So can you please indicate if you got to the point where you were able to run the last command that you see? And so after which command was the pop-up expected? Was it at the
Push.
push?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you ran that push command, which if you can switch to the command prompt. Yeah. So for those of you who were able to run this git push -u origin main command, if you did it in Windows, you must have seen a little pop-up which asks you to sign in. So we are looking for feedback from everyone on the call. So can you please let us know in chat if you did run that command? So firstly, if you did run it, and secondly, if you got a pop-up asking you to log in when you ran that command. Again, getting this right is one of the harder parts of trying to work with Android Studio and integrating it with GitHub. So we want to make sure that you all benefit from getting that working. So by the end of the day today, we would like to have everyone be able to push to GitHub, as well as try and build the FTC SDK in Android Studio. So now, we didn't get any log answers. So everyone who's on Zoom, just an audio check, want to make sure that you are able to. Okay. All right, Carl, thank you for the update. That helps. For the others, if you're able to hear the request, please let us know where you are in the process. At this point, if you want to talk about generating the personal access token.
I was hoping, and you just select, is that integration with Never?
Oh, so your feed doesn't need the access token?
Oh, I'm doing that right now.
Oh, okay.
For illustration. And then you just select all of the checkboxes.
Sure, you.
And then just click create. Just for that one.
So let's see.
Basically, it gives your computer terminal access to everything. Oh, wait, it's not. And then copy the token. And paste it like that.
Okay, so we'll generate the personalized.
No, so password will work. So you have to go to the profile.
So Naman, on this. Naman, on the Mac laptop, when you got to this state, has it not asked you for the password yet?
He's used Git before, so he's already logged in.
Okay.
It's not going to open it. For Mac users. Windows, no, yes, it'll open up. You want us to move on to open up private company.
No, we want to make sure everyone knows how to generate the personal access token.
That's useful for logging in with and Android CD on Git, that's only on Mac, it's actually able to log in.
Right, but let's do that because it's part of, the recording, we want them to know how to generate.
So I'm about to log into Android CD on Git using the personal access token. That way we can use the personal access token, but also they're logging into Android CD.
Okay.
Well,
Alright.
You will need to show how to create. the
Okay.
personal access token.
So is everybody ready to move on now?
Tell them if they need help with permission.
If you guys need any help at all, just post it in the channel. Don't worry.
It's a channel, same thing. He's still in his Discord mindset.
What?
Is there anyone else in here? There's. They left. They're not in the meeting anymore.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wait, who's in the meeting?
They've been gone since like 3:30. They're not 3:30.
Wait, hang on.
What, 3:10, 3:30?
Is it 4?
Well, I think it was specified that it's one.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we're going to keep continuing because we want to make sure that the recording contains all the information which you will be able to go back and reference later on. So at this point, do you guys want to switch over to creating the personal access token?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a personal access token. So that everybody can also log into Android Studio as well. And for some people on Mac, you will also need to use the personal access token to log into Git in the command line. So what you have to do, you have to go to your profile picture in GitHub, click on it. Once this pops up, you have to go to settings.
Yeah, I should order, not the users.
And then you go to developer settings, personal access tokens, tokens classic. Yeah. and then you do generate new token and generate new token classic. Oh, yeah. There we go.
Okay, what we share this.
Yeah, can you log in with it? Here, I'll do it. So now you can name this whatever you want. So we'll just name this Coding Camp 1. And make sure to set the expiration to no expiration. Otherwise, after some time, your Git will just stop working. You can ignore that it says that you set expiration date. It's not that important. So now you need to select each checkbox.
So just something to add here. Now, if you purely want to use this for access to repository, just the repo checkbox is enough. I would suggest not using the admin in the same token. If you want to have a separate token which has even more abilities, create that separately. But if you're creating a token just to be able to work with source code, I would suggest just have the repo checked and nothing else.
Okay. So you just select whatever you want, and then you do generate token. So now the token is created, and you could just click copy token. And just note, after you leave this page or refresh the page, you will not be able to see this token again. So you just copy it, and then you go to Android Studio. We have a project open, so we'll just close this. Okay, and you go to so then you should see this option in GitHub. It says login to GitHub, login via GitHub, or use token. So we'll just click use token. And now you just paste the token that you copied here. Yeah. And then that's it.
No, sorry, they would just click on login.
Yeah, and then you would click on login and it logs you in. Just
Okay, want to log in? I guess it's okay.
no, because everybody saw it. So we'll just delete this. So has everyone gotten to that step?
Nobody's problem.
So we did this and we logged into Git. And I'm just going to leave this up for a few seconds. These are the same steps we did, but these are in text. So if anyone wants to take a screenshot or save these, you can save these. But we'll also be sharing the slides as well. All right. Is everybody ready to move on? Okay, we'll wait until everybody's ready to move on.
So you were able to get your full question.
She's also logging for Are you guys all ready to move on? You can put generate and Android Studio or generate on the
Okay, so maybe we should extend that.
That's just repo, it won't work, it'll give you an error. And it means itself as well. So it's something.
Rishi, do you want to talk about that?
Just-
Makes sense.
if it didn't work, you-
So just want to clarify one thing that we kind of messed up. So if you come up here and click use token, it's actually simpler if you just click the generate button. And this button will automatically take you here and it'll automatically put the correct permissions that it needs into here. So these are the permissions that you will need and the previous permissions won't work.
So having just repo. will
Yeah.
work.
So you'll need repo, workflow, read org, and gist.
For the purpose of Android Studio,
Yeah.
this is the requirement.
Yeah. So, so, that seems a bit unsafe.
The white IP is going to be more use and
Yeah, it's like, that was definitely my password. Alright.
you know what, we removed this token.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, I had to remove it to be able to show that. Oh,
So what I would suggest is stop sharing.
Yeah.
Generate your token, use it, log in.
all right. We're gonna be coming back in like a few minutes.
Remove the expiration.
Yeah.
You already made one.
Yeah. Shoot, just lowercase.
Lowercase and then update
Just add.
Oh,
add
it's
a few minutes to it.
Yeah.
Don't let someone memorize it. Go over to the screen.
You're gonna steal your token.
I stored it in a secure spot. Alright, now I can share my screen. Oh, yeah, actually, no, I should probably log in first, right?
You should ask who's following it, because I don't think we have any-
No one's following. It is mainly for the recording.
No, but you want to get the
Yeah.
video right. So
I was saying, we could just make if we wanted to, we could make a shorter video, right?
can you go back to sharing screen if you're logging in?
Oh,
What I
okay.
was thinking is we could just make a video, like a nice family edit video with all these steps and post it on our FRC channel. FRC group,
Yeah, wait. Wait a minute.
Okay, can you close that
Wait, wait,
window?
oops.
Actually, I don't want that window shared.
Which
Close
one?
it. Close
Which?
this tab, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
You don't have to edit that. Close it. Close it.
How do I? Okay, wait.
Well,
let me
stop
fucking-
sharing.
Yeah.
Generate the token.
Stop sharing, close it down. and then-
Okay. It's a like
It's regenerated, but use it for login now.
okay. No, wait, why did I? Oh, shit. Where's it? Yeah, there you go.
Time is it?
3:43.
So I'm gonna get to this building set.
Yeah.
So did you start sharing?
No.
Can you please indicate that you just generated a token and now you're going to use that to log in?
Yeah, all right. So I just generated a new token and I'm gonna use that to log in. So. Yeah.
Okay, so now everybody should see this screen in Android Studio. So we're gonna click open. Yeah. And then we're gonna go to the place where you saved it. So it's gonna be downloads for most of you.
It's a big file.
Or documents. Right?
It's gonna be wherever you saved FTC robot controller. Yeah, and then you just click open. And then you want to click trust.
Wait, where do I log in? Oh yeah, am I logging in here in the terminal?
Oh, you didn't do that already?
No, I didn't log in. Like,
Okay, so this is gonna take some time. And just a reminder for everyone, this is very important. You might see a notification that says you need to update Gradle. Don't update Gradle. If you do it, your FTC SDK will stop working.
Can you repeat this step?
Yeah. So you do open.
I downloaded it
Oh,
today.
okay. Open then.
Now when you wanna, continue.
Yeah, and then I mean, wait, this one's also, already.
okay, so yeah, use. Okay, so
This is not from my GitHub.
Huh?
If they say, if there's something called upgrade assistant, tell them they can do that, but if they ask them to have a big Gradle after that, tell them what.
I just see if it really is in the report. But I have to 7.45.
It upgrades it to 7.5.
Like students or one is like something. Anyway, what are you doing here?
oh yeah, wait, yeah.
So what?
I just need to log in, I think. Yeah, wait, no, I didn't log in.
Wait, Ron.
Yeah.
Oh, share.
Yeah,
Yeah, then now you can just do whatever you want.
yeah.
Wait, didn't you log it? I mean, that's
No,
what
I-
you went there for, right?
Yeah,
Why did
and
you
then,
open it
You
before?
open.
and then I
log
reopened it.
into.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, sure, it's not. I have to-
I think this slide is a pain. I know, very much. It's a one-time act. Coding is fun.
Once it's all working.
Oh, wait. Wait, Norman. It's like I'm doing it right. This is what I'm supposed to do, right? And do I click load?
No, you don't.
Oh,
Click
okay.
cancel.
Oh, okay. So it's like, all right, basically, all right. So you log in and you
Yeah.
click cancel.
Yeah, then
Okay,
you just choose here.
Yeah.
And then do, oh, yeah, that works.
Yeah. Okay, all right. That's-
Can take up to 5
I wanna see.
I got everything.
So we have two students left. Or two people left.
Can you maximize that window so that the status is obvious?
Like this one.
Wait, you? It's loaded enough already, right? For you?
Not, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So for the others who are following along, your Android Studio might be building up the app, so it has to download some Gradle related files and have the build run. So it will take some time, so just wait for all that to complete. And till that point, you will be seeing the word loading under FTC robot controller. But once that completes, the word loading will be gone and you will see the tree structure just like you're seeing it here.
No, click on the middle.
No, not okay now.
No, I want to see what version it's gonna have.
Alright, tomorrow morning we'll start with talking about Gradle. Yeah, thank you for the people who stayed with us the whole class. I know it was long and sometimes you guys probably had to wait for a while. But yeah, good job.
Thank you, everyone.